right now, and this is a joy in this time of America, when we talk about all these different themes of diversity and the woke wars, the culture wars, and that, there is a breath of clarity coming out. Sheila Johnson, BET co-founder, she's author of Walk Through Fire, a memoir of picking herself up from her childhood, getting it done, getting totally slammed by a divorce, and keeping it going. She's, of course, done Better Than Good over the years in Washington, as Mike McKee and I were talking about, a modest acquaintance with the ice hockey Capitals, with women's basketball, and the source. And she has written an exceptionally terse must-read. And I love how you end it. Nice, granola guys out in Utah, and you show up to pick up Robert Redford in a Humvee?
Absolutely, yeah.
And he gave you a lecture.
Oh, I got to know him because I was on the board of Sundance.
Yeah.
And I've admired everything that he's done for the film industry. And we just got to know each other, and he came all the way to Middleburg, Virginia, as I was getting ready to start construction, looked down on the town, and he says, you got to put a film festival here. We are now into our 11th year
of doing that.
Yes.
I like that you showed up at a Humvee, which speaks volumes about Sheila Johnson. I want to go back to the emotion of the beginning of the book, which people, you didn't come out of some fancy prep school and got it going with the first $1 million or $2 million.
No.
Take us before the first $1 million. What was the catalyst to pick the pieces up from your childhood?
Well, first of all, it was a learning area where I, for the first time in my life, had to grow up very fast at the age of 16. My father suddenly left. We were a middle-class family, first African-American, not the first, but one of 8 African-American neurosurgeons in the country. Mm-hmm. And so we had some sort of status in society. And for him to suddenly leave, it just left my mother broke. Women did not have the wherewithal to have our own bank account or anything. So that is stuck with me forever. And that has been the impetus in which I have decided to lead my life and take charge of it.
What people want to know from you, I'm going to slam it forward to the present. Lisa's got a bunch of insight as well. What do you think of the expression of our culture war now is witnessed by a corporate effort of diversity which seems to stumble on itself, witness Hollywood and mistakes made, or just the general debate over this word woke? You're about as anti-woke as I've ever seen. How do you synthesize that?
Well, I don't quite understand woke. I just know hard work is at the bottom of everything I do. My value systems are there, and it's really, really important that I continue to push on and not really focus so much on race, but I am very aware of it and the pitfalls, but I just try to fight through it, and I deal with the people that want to challenge me on it.
What do you make of some of the recent striking activity, particularly with Hollywood, given your intimacy with that, at a time where people are trying to take charge of their life and don't know what the future landscape will look like with artificial intelligence and streaming, and don't have those guarantees? Do you think that there are legitimate issues that are not being dealt with responsibly and in the public eye from some of these companies?
Yeah, I think what's happening is all media is transitioning so fast, and even in the film industry. And I know people in the film industry, they're seriously concerned about what their future is going to look like. I mean, I deal with the film festival. I have a LA Film Advisory Board, and they're talking to me all the time about, are we going to get films this year? Are there still films being shot? Are they in the can? But I think this is something that we've got to watch and we've got to be careful about, because the landscape is changing quickly.
You got these great vignettes. I want to take a vignette and take it to business as well. Mm-hmm. You're sitting there one day, you're over your Sanka coffee, you're hanging out, you've probably been, you're going, Ben's Chili Bowl, U Street lunch, I think we can do that.
Yeah.
And Whitney Houston wanders in. What's it like when Whitney Houston comes in the door?
Well, first of all, she's one of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen. She's very thin, very talented, but I also could just sense a little bit troubled. But I admired her. She's a great talent. And, that was some of the fun things about BET. You would see all these celebrities that you've heard about, talked about,
Right.
and they're coming into your studio. So, I mean, we really were the core of black media back then.
Oh, you were the core of it. And, you know, like you said, you wanted to be Ebony Magazine, really high-end and academic. And then, boom, it all changed. And, it, you know, in some ways it blew up and that. But I got to drag it forward now. Sheila Johnson, another cup of coffee, except it's a fancy cup at the Sunset Tower Hotel. It's you and Mr. Iger. What's your advice to the modern train wreck known as Disney?
Oh, my goodness. That's something I really can't answer, but I will tell you, Disney has always been a force. It's a force in media, in entertainment, and I'm just terrified about what's going on in Florida right now. I really am.
Well, if you push it forward from your BET experience, would you be able to found that company today, in today's world?
You know, this question has been asked of me many times. I'm really concerned about where BET is now. I think we need to look at it. I have not been happy with it for years and years and years. There's not enough balanced programming. And I just think that the landscape and the racial landscape of what African Americans are watching is changing. And I just think that we have got such a broad perspective of people out there that want something different, especially this younger generation. So we need to reevaluate what are the goals of black media and what are the answers? What is it out there that we need to answer?
The heart and soul of your voice, we got to wrap it up here, Sheila, in celebration of Walk Through Fire, but the heart and soul of your work is to find a middle ground. And in these culture wars, you know, I was weaned on Edmund Burke, senator from Massachusetts. This is a long time ago. How do we get a fractured America back to a middle ground?
Well, I think what we're doing through the Salamander, through my company, is we're bringing in programming. I've kind of taken it from BET and into the hospitality business with the film festival. Also, I've been able to check the box on the diversity issues where I bring in 41 of the top black chefs from all over the country to really celebrate food from the African diaspora.
Right.
We talk about these issues in panel discussions. I'm doing it in a fun way, bringing the American Ballet Theater in. I like to continue the entertainment part of it into my hospitality company.
Right.
And that's where we're answering a lot of the questions.
Sheila, thank you so much for joining
You're so
Surveillance,
welcome.
Today. Sheila Johnson, of course, of BET, Walk Through Fire, Memoir of Love, Loss, and Triumph. Deeply personal and courageous book.